Hi, you guys are welcome back to Eco Designs to Feel YouTube channel. In today's video, you're going to be learning how to cut out a skirt with a protruding effect at the buttocks. Okay, also you're going to be learning how to make your skirt, the inner part of your skirt, to look just as transparent as the one you can see on the screen right now. And also you're going to be learning how to cut out an A-shape skirts with your lace. Okay, so if you are new here and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to this channel to join this beautiful family. Turn on your notification bell to get post notifications once I upload a new video. Now we are going to start. You can see the beautiful lace fabric I have on the table. So what you are going to do is to fold your fabric using the biggest part of your measurements. And for our skirt, the biggest part of our measurement is going to be our hip circumference. So draw out a starting line, and this starting line is going to be our natural waist point. Now from the waist point, you're going to extend your tape vertically and mark out the hip points and then the knee points with the length of your skirt. Now for me, hip point is 9 inches, the knee point is 17 inches, and the length of this skirt is going to be 45 inches. Now what I'm going to do next is from the center front of this skirt, okay, towards the waist line, I'm going to divide my waist circumference by 4. So once you divide it by 4, you go ahead and add up your seam allowance. Don't bother about the that intake, okay, because for my lace here I'm not going to be inputting that, but if you want that, you can go ahead and input 1 inch or 1.5 inches. It depends on the size of your client. So now for the hip measurements, my hip circumference is 39 inches. When you divide 39 inches by 4, you are going to be having 9.75. So I input 9 inches. You are going to at later on understand why I made use of just 9 inches, okay, and then added my seam allowance. Now going back to the knee, I went ahead to remove 1.5 inches from whatever I have on the hip measurement and then mark it out. You can go ahead and take away 6 inches from your actual hip circumference before dividing it by 4 inches and then input on your knee point. Okay, now once you are done with that, go ahead and use your long ruler and connect it straight down to the hem of your skirt, just like this, and then connect all the other shapes together using your hip curve. Now this is our front of this skirt. We are going to go ahead and cut it out, and once we are done cutting it out, we are going to move over to cut out the back of this skirt. Now you guys remember that for the protruding skirt effect, I removed 0.75 inches from the front bodies of the hip. Okay, so now it's time for us to input our ½ inch allowance for joining to the upper bodies, because what I'm making right here is actually a gown. Now you guys, this is for the back. Okay, I've folded my fabric into 2, and you can see that I have about 10 inches away from the center back before placing my front skirt on this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use my pins to hold them in place. Make sure that you hold them in place so that when you are drafting out all your measurement, this is not going to be shifting to and fro. So what you're going to do is to make sure you mark out all your important lines, making sure that the waist of the front and the back is equal. I'm trying to trim it out So once I am done with that, I'm also going to make use of my pins to make sure that all these are in place. And then using my ruler, I'm going to go ahead and draw a line across the hip points and then the knee points. Once you are done with this, we are going to work on our protruding back effects. Okay, so what we are going to do is to bring back the 0.75 inches that we removed from the front hip, okay, and add it up to the back hip. Now from the center front of this skirt, you can see that what I have right there is 9 inches, right, before the seam allowance. So from that line before the seam allowance, I'm going to take my tape backward, and then I'm going to input 10.5 inches. Why? Because we have 9 inches for the front, right, and for the back we are supposed to input 9.75. now I'm going to also add the 0.75 that I removed from the front, that is making it 10.5 inches. Okay, so that's why you can see that I inserted 10.5 inches and then marked it out and connected to the waist and then back to the knee length. Okay, now once I was done with that, I went ahead to input my seam allowance, that is my zip seam allowance, and then connected them together. So once you are done connecting it together, you're going to use your long ruler and then extend it backward down to the hem of the center back, just like this. So you guys, I believe you were able to understand what I just explained right here. And you guys, this is how to get your protruding effect for your back skirts. Okay, so now remember that we didn't add that allowance to the front, but we need that for the back. So I'm going to input my dart for the back, and I'm going to make use of 1.5 inches. In that case, I'm removing 0.75 from both sides, and I'm going to make use of my nipple to nipple measurements to get my dart. So after I connected it, I'm going to go ahead and cut out my back. All right,
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my face. Work a job every day till your dreams fade away. Like a card, never change, play the game that we say. I need a break. Time staying strong, need to move on to be.
now this is our front and our back piece. We're going to go ahead and mark out our dart intake for the back. So what I'm going to do is to first of all remove the back, and then to the front I'm going to, from the zipper allowance, taking 4 inches, which is 8 inches for from the nipple to nipple measurements, and then use it to mark out my dart. And for the dart depth, I'm going to be making use of 5.5 inches, and then go ahead and mark all these lines out. Okay, so you know we have 2 pieces for the back. You're going to draw out the darts for the both of them. Now from here we are going to go ahead and cut out our underlay for the lace. So we are going to be making use of a doll face bridal satin for this, and that goes to that transparent effect that I told you are going to be learning also. So what you're going to do is to fold your fabric into two, that is the doll face, and then place your lace on top. Okay, it depends on the length you want it. Okay, so if you want it to get to your knee length, you are going to have to cut it that way. If you want it to be to the hem of your lace, you are also going to make it to be that length. So what I'm going to do for mine is to make it to end on the knee length. Okay, it's slightly below the knee length. That is what I'm going to be using. So you can see how I'm marking out the line. So first off is to place your lace on top the bridal satin, and you are going to just rule a line where you want this underlay to end, and then you go ahead and cut it out. Like I said, for mine is going to end just slightly below the knee length. Okay, and then you're going to have to cut out this side. Can you see? And once you are done cutting out this side, you are going to take out your lace just like this, and then cut out the length. So at this point I thought it was very short, so I went ahead to extend it downward further. Okay, and I went ahead to cut out my length. So now this is for the back. Okay, I'm going to do the same for the front, but before that you're going to have to notch your zip allowance and also notch your dart intake. So can you see what I'm doing? Do this so that you won't get yourself confused, and also don't forget to use your chalk to mark the wrong sides. Okay, so we are going to take this aside and then cut out the front. The same thing goes to the front. You're also going to use that same step that you took for the back to cut out the front.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my face. Work a job every day till your dreams fade away. Like a card, never change. Play the game that we say. I need a break.
Once you're done cutting out the underlay, you're going to have to also cut out the lining. Okay, so you guys already know that for a lace you have to use an underlay and also make use of a lining, and that is if you so wish. But for me, I love to use lining and underlay at the same time because it gives it this very nice look and it makes it comfortable for your client. And that underlay is what you're going to use to cut out your lining. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, so that is what you can see us basically doing right here. And once you are done cutting it out, endeavor to put your notches and then mark out your zipper allowance so that you won't get yourself confused. Also make sure that you mark out the wrong side and the right side. Okay, use your chalk to indicate the wrong part of the lining. And yes, you guys, that is definitely going to be the end of this tutorial. I hope you have been able to grab something from this video. If you do, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done yet, and I will definitely see you in my next tutorial. Bye.